Welcome to the Model Rail Replacement Podcast, helping you get to your onward journey. A friendly service that helps you get from A to B, or probably nowhere at all.
Hello and welcome to episode 8 of the Model Rail Replacement Podcast, or as we keep forgetting to call it, MERP. Today we have our second guest of the series, and we're going to be talking to Neil from the Little Layout Company. So that is going to be quite exciting. I'm your host, James, and with me is
Sam. Hello, everyone.
Hello, Sam, and how are you?
I'm really good. It's been a really busy week, but not hobby-wise. I mean, my life is getting packed up into boxes, and I've got that thing of I don't have a date for the house yet, but at the same time, anyone who knows British housing and how buying a house works, I could get told tomorrow that I'm moving next week, or I could get told tomorrow that I'm moving in 2 months, and packing up an entire house with a child has me on edge the whole time. So I'm sort of trying to do that thing of packing what I can without packing away stuff that I might need to do. How about you?
I'm the same actually. I think I've not really done much on the layout. I've been quite busy myself with work. Those ARC PGA wagons I've been slowly progressing on. I've had a few more frames painted grey, but I think that's about it. I haven't touched the layout since the boards went up. I've sort of laid the track down, and I think I've just got to a point now where I think I might be just a little bit burnt out with it. So might just take a little bit of a break from it and just sort of concentrate on something else. But yeah, otherwise, yeah, the same. It's just been a bit busy with work, but I did have the privilege of getting to go to Bristol the other day. So every now and again, they let me out, and I get to go on little adventures out in the Western region. And every so often, I get to go to Bristol. Went there on Tuesday just to go meet the Great Western staff that work there and how they do certain things and all that. So it was all very interesting. And whilst I was there was a few trains running around that would have been nice to see, but unfortunately, because I was in the office, it was a bit painful. So there was a 5 Zulu. I can't remember the last 2 digits on it, but essentially it denotes as an empty coaching stock coming off St Philip's Marsh. The guy I went to see had phoned him up. He said, "What's that head code? What's that then?" "Oh, it's a steam engine." "Oh, okay." And he turns around to me and says, "It's just a steam engine coming out of there." And I was really hoping he was going to be, a railway man, and say, "Come on, let's go have a look." And he just continued to tell me about his job and that. So I had to take the pain of sitting there, hearing the steam engine, really wanting to see it, but being, I had to be polite because, I've come to see him and what he does in his job and how it interacts with my job. So that hurt a lot, especially near the whistle. And even when we walked out to go see the station coordinator, I thought, this is the opportunity. It's still in the other platform. But no, the coordinator was right next door. So I smelt the engine, but I didn't see it. I was, that was, but I did get to see one of the Europhoenix Class 37s just before going home because my train was delayed. So fortunately, I thought I'd just walk to the end of the platform, stand in the sunshine. And then just as I was recording a little video for our Instagram channel, 37 snuck up behind me, so it made up for it.
That is pretty good. And that is a fantastic segue because, James, we have some fantastic news for our social media accounts for all of our thousands and thousands of listeners. What is it?
For the last 2 weeks, we've been very forgetful and haven't been telling you that we now actually, with the rebrand of the logo, launched an Instagram account. Some of you have found it. In fact, I think it's around 150 of you have found it. So thank you very much. But for anyone else listening, we do have an Instagram account for the Model Rail Replacement Podcast. It is called the Model Rail Replacement Podcast. We're also continuing to use the hashtag Model Rail Replacement Podcast. So, if you want to use that hashtag and get that one growing as well, we'd appreciate that. And just come and find us. We're just putting posts related to what we're doing or any sort of news about the channel that on there. And then obviously we still have our own separate accounts as well if you want to find them. Something we've been forgetting to tell you about, but we're so involved with the show that you just forget things sometimes.
Well, to be fair, our Merpers, as I believe that's what they're now going to be called, the Merpingtons, the Merpers
I won't call them maggots, but Slipknot took that one. So yeah,
Merpers. I feel like that would be like, I need someone to design a logo for what a Merper is. They've been fantastic in following and sharing. And it is really nice for James and I when we get tagged in little bits where people say, oh, well, based on what you said on the episode, here's this. So thank you, anyone who tags us in the stuff, because it is really interesting to sort of know that people are listening, and based on what's been going on in the episodes, here's another thing. So, yeah.
Yes, we do appreciate that. Yeah, to everyone that does share. And you're right, it's interesting to see some of the comments people have been putting out there, especially in regards to Fiddle Yards. So that seems to be, the episode we were worried might be a bit dull, seems to have inspired and influenced people with their Fiddle Yard design, building, etc. So yeah, like you say, it's good to know that our conversations are, taken in and people are finding them useful, which is always helpful, because otherwise it's just two guys just talking nonsense for an hour, making people listen to us.
So in terms of news, we had a really busy week of news last week, but we've got quite a slow week this week, which is fine. There's one bit of news that I want to cover, and that's in August, it's going to be Gauge Master's 50th birthday, and they're planning a lot of things that you can do at the engine shed in Ford during the month of August. So go and check out their social medias to have a look at what's available. There's some really cool ideas where they're doing sort of like a secondhand model rail sort of trade show where you can bring your stuff and trade and buy and all that sort of stuff, because Engine Shed doesn't do secondhand. So it's nice that they're doing it in a way where people can turn up and have a look and see. They've got loads of other things, so go and check out their social medias about it. But it's very exciting.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I believe they're going to be doing something every Saturday in August, starting from the 3rd of August to the 10th, 17th, and my maths is right, 21st. So not all of it's model railway. I think there's a slot car weekend or something like that. I think I read. I'll have to double check on all that. But yeah, just go to their social media, and that's probably the best way to find out what's happening. But yeah, it does look quite interesting, quite promising. So yeah.
Any other news or anything like that that's come up, or has it been nice and quiet on the news front?
I think because of last week's sort of bombardment of news that sort of took out the entire of our show, yeah, it's been a bit of a slow news week. I think Rails have talked about doing an auction of the Hattons pre-owned stuff. I haven't looked too much into that, but apart from that, nothing been announced anyway, as far as I'm aware.
Excellent. Okay. Well, I mean, if you've not got anything else to say, I'd say that it's probably about time that we go to a break.
Yeah, I mean, I can make something up, but going to a break's probably best. Right then, we'll take a break in a moment, and then we'll come back and have our interview with Neil at the Little Layout Company. Just to let you know, before we do go on to that, this is a sort of foreshadowing interview, because it was done a couple of weeks ago. So there's a lot of talk of my temptation into O-Gauge. So kind of think of it like Star Wars, in that you've already watched episodes 4 to 6, and you're now about to watch the prequels 1 to 3. That's probably the best way to do it.
Look at that! You see that there? The super shiny diesel loco that's coming this way. Yeah, I see it. Isn't it beautiful? So fresh, so clean, like it's straight out of the box. I mean, yeah, it's nice, but I prefer it to have a used look to it. In an ideal world, that would be nice, but I'm sure the owner doesn't have the confidence, skill or time to undertake such a job. Then why don't they just send it to Emperor's Path? Emperor's Path? Yeah. SBJ has years of experience in model railways and wargaming, the ability to meet your weathering needs, and works with you during the whole process to ensure the project is how you want it, not like it's come through a factory. Come on, that must cost a fortune. Not really. He offers different levels of weathering at really affordable prices. I've got my whole fleet weathered by him. My loco's got the full treatment, whilst my rolling stock just a dusting with the airbrush, and it looks really authentic. I might just get a quote. How do I contact him? You get him on Instagram at Emperors_Path, by Facebook, Emperor's Path, or emperorspathcontact@gmail.com. Emperor's Path Weathering. If it's not filthy, let's change that.
Okay, we are back, and this week we are going into our second guest interview. Today we welcome Neil from the Little Layout Company. Hello, Neil. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Hi, thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks for coming along. It's a pleasure to talk to you. I've sort of been looking through your Instagram over your website and there is so many layouts that we can talk about here. So this is very exciting.
Yeah, we've built quite a few over the years.
For those of you who don't know who Neil is, Neil, if you're okay to, could you just give us a little bit of a spiel as to who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so my name's Neil Mason. I run, manage, destroy the Little Layout Company at times, and we build bespoke on railways all over the UK. I think we've been full time for about 10 years now, and I think we've built been involved in nearly about 400 layouts over the last 10 years.
That's a lot.
It is a lot, yeah. When you look back on them,
I was about to say, did you say 400?
Yeah, so that's not full build. So a lot of the builds we do are boards, track and wiring, or we'd go on site and do a lot of scenic work, layouts in for renovation or rework, or we do full builds. We do quite a few exhibition layouts for ourselves as well. So it's a mixture of everything, really. Yeah, in total, if we put every single layout and every single customer on a chart, we've done nearly about 400 now.
Wow, that's got to be testament to your work.
Thank you. Yeah,
you've done that many layouts. I'm really impressed with that.
Yeah, it's pretty much myself on my own. My father-in-law passed away last year, and he was pretty much our carpenter. So we saw new avenues for carpentry now. But yeah, the majority of the builds from boards upwards have been me for the last 8 or 9 years. My wife Lacey does all the admin and all the behind the scenes stuff, so she does all that nobody really sees and keeps me organised and moving. But yeah, it's we've got a few guys that help us out from time to time, but it's me full time.
I just want to say from a real fanboy point of view here, the layout that I first saw you doing, and James will know exactly why this is I saw your Old Oak Common layout, and it's so I've gone back in your Instagram to look at the photos of it again, and I'm just so mad at myself as to how beautiful it is.
Yeah, to be honest, it's one of my favourite builds, and unfortunately that one you can't take out to exhibitions because it's just so big and it just sits in the middle of the customer's room, his living room, and he just admires it every day. And he spent about 40 odd years going around Old Oak Common. And he had so much reference material, it was crazy. I couldn't get anything wrong because he had every single detail that I needed. So it was just working from hundreds and hundreds of photos to get every single bit that we needed. And we've since Old Oak Common, we built Rangley Bridge, which was a show layout for the same customer. We've also built Old Oak Common factory sidings as well. So they all sit in the same room. So it's like a massive, huge Old Oak Common fest in there. It's like a little exhibition for Old Oak Common.
That sounds like I pretty much signalled that entire room for the moment.
But yeah, Old Oak Common, I mean, credit to Michael Thornby as well. They did some really superb photos of Old Oak Common. And I've just actually took one of the photos from the magazine article on the back of our van now. So it actually you just got Old Oak Common on the back doors of our vehicle. So yeah, it was a really, really good layout to film.
That's really cool. And is that anyone wants to have a look? That's the December 22 Hornby magazine edition.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
cool.
I think Rangley Bridge was in January or February.
I recall reading about it, and I saw it. It was either the Hornby magazine show itself. I think I saw it there. So that's very cool to look at. Obviously, having signalled that patch, it's always really fun to look at a model or something and recognise bits of it and go, I know where that bit is and that bit is. That's I think it's the same. Do you have you worked on, is it the Spirit of Swindon layout as well?
Yeah, so Spirit of Swindon was a little bit different really, because the guy had built most of it up to the track work, and he wanted us to weather the track work, do the ballasting, build all the fascias and the fascia for the back scenes, and we sort of added touches as we went along and helped him out with it. And then I think it was like about 2020, he just contacted me out of the blue and said we wanted to get rid of it. So we said, we'll take it on. We'll take it to shows and we'll take it on as a layout. But it's just so big now. We're running out of people to help us and take it out. So we want to try and get it to a new home where it can be appreciated for the size and what it is. But, for an Engage layout with the amount of work and detail that's gone into it, it's absolutely amazing.
It's absolutely superb. As I say, people that have listened before are probably aware that Swindon Panel was the first signal box I signed. So when I've seen that layout and I look at it, it's just, and I know that area like the back of my hand, because just looking, I go, I know where that pub is, I know where that bridge is, I know where that. And even though it's backdated, back to the Steam era, it's still recognisable, and it was fantastic just to look over and just go, yeah, I know that world. So yeah, it is a great little layout, and hopefully it will pass on to someone who can take it out and exhibit, and people can appreciate that amazing amount of work on there.
Yeah, I mean it's a really unique layout, and you probably appreciate quite a lot with it being a signalman is you actually signal and route the trains instead of running the trains. So you don't drive the trains through it; you actually route them, and there's a replica of each panel on east and west box panels. So you actually route the trains through it instead of you're actually a signalman in theory.
Oh, cool! I like that layout even more now.
Do you want to buy it?
I was waiting for. Do you want to buy it?
I would, but very large collection of layouts as it is.
Yeah.
Right, Neil, thank you very much for that. I think we will do the main part and we'll move on to our questions. Sure. So, as people who have been listening to the show should know by now, we have a regular set of questions we like to ask all our guests. And our first question is always, are you a steam, electric, or diesel fan?
So this is easy for me. I've always been a diesel fan. I think because I grew up in the era of like late 80s, 90s, it's always been diesel. And because I'm originally from Nottinghamshire, it was always freight. It's always freight stock and diesel stock and filthy locos everywhere. So it's always been diesel.
That's very cool. It's the common theme, and I think we need to start chalking it up.
We're going to have a pre-plan.
I don't think we had anyone say steam yet, have we?
It's because they'd be wrong if they did. So let's be really honest.
Don't say that. We need people to come on. Excellent stuff. I do like the sound. Yeah, and Nottingham, I think around that era, it was very cool for trains, wasn't it?
Yeah. So originally from Mansfield, so I was surrounded by places like Shirebrook and Towton, and West Houses, places like that. So it was all, even as far as going up to Buxton and Matlock areas, there was just some amazing places to go to there.
Yeah, I'm quite envious of that. As I say, I just grew up around Bedford, so most I got was 319s. But awesome. Move on to the next question. I think this one will be a really good one because obviously, as the little layout company, you probably have worked in most if not all scales. So yeah. Which one is your favourite to work with?
It's changed in the last couple of months. I was always a double O gauge man, all the time. Everything I built was double O for myself. I've dual built every scale from end to out. But recently, I've rid of all my double O stock and went into O gauge. And I don't think I'll ever go back because O gauge is just love O gauge at the moment. It's just such an awesome gauge to work in, and because I do what I do as a business, it gives me that bigger scale to just add even more detail and get that realism into a layout.
You're not helping the fact that for the last 2-3 weeks, James has been saying about how he's been tempted by O gauge at all.
I was just about to say that. Everyone's just trying to tempt me in. I think even Rails did it the other day. Where they've got I think a Ginty at £125, and
yeah.
That's so tempting.
It's an easy scale to get into, though, really, because you don't need a lot of space. I think you can get hung up on wanting to run big trains with big locos, but you don't need a lot of space, and you can create such a great scene in a small space with O gauges. Our show layout's only 16 foot, so we've got. It's about getting all that nice detail that people can see stuff.
I think next week's episode should be all about enabling in the hobby. This isn't helping. I've got to deal with him later.
Well, he's saying that. I'm sitting there planning something in my head, going, "Yeah, if it's 16 foot, I could fit that in the garage. I could work with something like that."
It's weird because I've wanted to build Buxton Depot and station in Dublin. And I've tried 4 times in Dublin, and never succeeded. And now I've got O gauge. I think I've got no excuse now because I'm everything there I need. I've got the space, I've got the time, I can build Buxton. If I don't do it in O gauge, I'll never do it. So that's my next project once this one's gone, is to do Buxton.
That sounds like a very cool project. I look forward to seeing that one. Awesome. What is your favourite loco you own?
I own. Can I have 2? I'm really into class 31s at the moment, and I think it's because of the O gauge 31s, where the sound and the weather and everything. They just look phenomenal.
Yeah.
I've always been into 08s, and I've always had a real bad obsession with 08s where I just kept buying them in double O. I just kept seeing them. Oh yeah, I love that. That's quite a good price. And I'd end up with like 8 or 9 08s. I'm thinking, where am I going to run all these? So I've kind of took my collection of 08s down to about 3, but then I've got a couple more 08s in O. But yeah, I think that Class 31 at the moment is probably my favourite at the moment.
Okay, cool. Is that a Hellion one? Is it?
Yes, yeah. They're such a good model. They're really good, and if you get the right sound and the right weathering on them, they just look fantastic.
What livery is it in?
I've got 3 liveries. I've got a Dutch, Cole, and a red stripe rail freight.
Which one's your favourite?
Dutch.
Solid choice.
Yeah, I've got a fascination with engineering stock.
Yeah, there's something quite interesting about engineering wagons, and that, isn't there?
Yeah.
I can agree with you there, definitely.
There's so much variation and so much different, not liveries, but just different conditions of what the wagons look like, and you can create anything with the Dutch stuff. It just looks so good. And it's just always, I've got a thing with just filthy stuff all the time. It's just absolutely drenched in dirt. So yeah, I like my engineering Dutch stuff.
Yeah, I like. Yeah, definitely a solid choice there, and I'm sure Sam will be quite in agreement of making sure that everything's very dirty.
Oh, I was sat here nodding, remembering that it's a visual, an audio podcast, so there's no chance of people seeing me nodding very aggressively.
You do. You just have to tap on the desk.
I could actually hear the breeze on the microphone. Excellent. Oh, that does sound like a very cool loco. We'll move on to then. What is your favourite loco that you don't own? And as we said with this question, it doesn't necessarily have to be a model that's in existence. It could be something that hasn't been produced that you'd like to see produced. Is there anything out there that you'd love to have?
I'd like an O-Gauge 56, but I can't afford one at the moment. I don't know, because I see quite a lot of different stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Because you get different stock all the time through the door, you see quite a lot of stuff, and you get to play about with a lot of stuff. I think for my own stuff, I would like an O-Gauge 56. I think that would be the next one I got if I could get it. I don't know if there's anything out there that I've not really seen that let's think maybe a 153 or 150 in O-Gauge would be kind of cool. I think there's some 153s coming out next year, but some 150s in O-Gauge would be cool. But that's just selfishness because I want them booked.
It's such an iconic loco as well, and it's one that has been around since the mid 80s, early or late 80s, and it's still running today. I know we have a couple of 150s that still run into Portsmouth and from the GWR. So yeah, I mean it's an iconic loco, and I can completely understand why you'd want it. And with the ability, if you can, to repaint it into any livery, I mean, it would be a great loco to have on your layout.
That's it, yeah. And I think we're going to have a couple of for Buxton. I think it's a must-have for up there.
Yeah, I like the 150s. It's something about I just don't know, something about DMUs. I think they're necessary for you sort of modern day layouts, aren't they? And
I think because I've never been a passenger stock person.
Yeah,
I think I can like Sam like going what, but coaching stock's never been my thing, other than sort of the odd tool van, that kind of stuff. And I think DMUs as far as I go into passenger stock. And I think it's purely because as a kid, I only used to ever see 150s, 153s, 156s, and freight. That's all we used to see where I lived. So you never saw rakes of blue and grey stock on 45s or anything like that. So I never got the privilege of seeing all that.
Yeah. That's. I think that's it comes down to, is it that nostalgia factor there that influences you. But I mean, if I say that, says it and go, oh, it sounds better than what I got. As I say, I just got 319. So
cool.
Cool. So 150. And that would be quite cool to see. So what is your favourite project you've undertaken so far? And with 400 under your belt, that could be anything, really, couldn't it?
I think it's the one you mentioned earlier, which is Old Oak Common. I think purely because I love building depots, and to build an iconic depot like that and then to do it in such a way that we did to get it 100% accurate, well, close to accurate as we could. And then I also learned a lot along the way with that. And I like to learn a lot of stuff as I go. But I learned a lot about Old Oak Common and everything around that era as well. So it was just such a pleasure to build that project and then have the comments that we got from it, and for it to finish up how it did. It was just amazing. It's just a really good project to work on.
That's cool. And I do like that. As I say, the Old Oak Common is such a mecca for Western modelers, and there is that atmosphere. It's such a shame it's gone, because I like looking at the old photos of that, and the fact it had a turntable table, and you'd see like the 47s and the 50s all sat around it, and it just looks glorious. And so to replicate that in model form, I can see why you go for that choice. And that sounds like a very solid choice.
And I think also it was nice that the customer that we built it for, he was so passionate about the area and the place and the depot. See that enjoyment on his face that it was something that we created. It just made me feel really good that I'd done something well. And it was getting that customer feedback as well from him. So that was really good as well, because he just lived that place. It was crazy how much he loved that place.
That's going to be really nice, isn't it? Because I mean, obviously, there's that sense of satisfaction that when you're working on your layout and you've built something and you achieve something, and you look back at it and you go, "Yeah, I've done really well," and that's really nice. And for most of us, we usually either we'll do a video about it on YouTube or on Instagram, and we'll get a bit of feedback and sort of see the nice comments. But to actually make that for someone else and see the satisfaction on their face, that must be a really nice thing. And sort of knowing that your hard work and effort has really paid off. That's really...
And I think because of what we do as a business, a lot of the customers that we get, they haven't got the skills and they haven't got the time to build something they want to really enjoy. And it sounds a strange concept because people say, "Oh, I'd rather build my own model because it's mine." Not a lot of people have the time or the skills to do that. So when you create something for them, they just look at it and think, "Oh, this is what I've wanted, for 30 years."
Yeah,
we've created it in like a couple of months.
Yeah, I mean that's it, isn't it? It's I think the baseboard building is tricky, I think, and if you don't have the confidence for it, and as it's your main building block, and if it's not right, everything else will tend to go wrong along with it. It's understandable why some people can like hoard locos for years but don't actually have anywhere to run it or don't feel they have the confidence. So it's nice to know that there are companies like yours out there that can help people get into the hobby without the fear of having to make their own baseboards. And again, like you say, the time. I mean, I think I started building mine back in January, and I've only and I've not even finished the fiddle yard. I still estimate, I reckon I've probably got another 3-4 months before I see trains actually running around the entire room. So the time is definitely another factor, isn't it? Awesome stuff. Thank you for that answer. And if you do want to see your Old Oak Common layout, as I said, it can be seen in the Hornby magazine December 22, or you have photos on your Instagram, as Sam mentioned.
Yeah, and our Facebook as well.
On your Facebook as well. Awesome. Next question we'd like to ask is, what is your next hobby purchase? And this doesn't have to be a loco. It can be anything as mundane as a little push button for your control.
I think because I buy stuff all the time. But for myself, I've got a pair of blue Class 20s in O set on my shelf opposite my desk. They've been sat there for months and they just need sound fitting. So I think I'm going to try and get some sound chips for them in the next couple of weeks to get those finished.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. They're fully weathered and everything, just sat there, and I need to get the sound in them, but I keep putting it off because I keep doing other stuff, and it's just like I've got to get them done. And I've given myself a job this weekend. That's what I'm going to purchase this weekend is the sound chips for them.
Sound chips for 220s. Oh, mad.
I can imagine that would be outstanding to just have going round.
Yeah.
I do like a sound of a 20, and so a pair of them. So where I live, it's sort of near the Chiltern main line. For a couple of years, they had the pair of 20s. Well, I think they had 4 of them. Didn't they? They'd taken the tube stock to West Ruislip, the new London Underground, and I remember I'd be going to bed, and they'd be like about 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. You could hear them coming from Banbury. I'll be jumping out of bed. I can't see anything, poking my head out the window. It's just amazing sound. So yeah, that does sound very cool.
Probably one of the sounds I remember from my childhood more than anything else, because I used to go train spotting a little bit when I was younger, and we used to see MGR trains all the time. You could hear a pair of 20s coming from miles away, like you say.
Yeah.
When they're on full load of MGRs, you could hear them, and you just like, yeah, that's a pair of 20s. It just built up for about 5 or 6 minutes of this noise. Where we used to sit, they used to sort of bank round a bend, and you used to see them coming. There were nearly enough coming head on to you because we used to sit like on a fence, and just the noise as they go by, you couldn't hear it. I think sometimes
that must be amazing to witness.
Yeah.
Thinking about it, that just sounds so cool. So yeah, that sounds like an excellent purchase. Awesome stuff. So I encourage you to do that this weekend and get your 20s sound fitted. Wicked.
Yeah, I'll try and do some videos and send them to you.
Awesome. So obviously, as you are a layout builder, this could be quite an interesting question to ask you. What is your favourite part of the hobby?
My favourite part of layout building is scenery, making those little touches and stuff to make a layout look real. I like to make layouts look as realistic as I can, where I can. So that's my favourite part of that. My other favourite part of the hobby is just meeting other people and hearing where they've come from, what they do. In what I do, we get people from all walks of life, from all different ages that want model railways. So you meet so many different people from all over the country. So I get to see quite a lot of the country by visiting other people and putting the layouts in lofts, in spare rooms, in garages and sheds. So it's really nice to meet different people.
Yeah, that's I wasn't expecting that answer. That's a really nice answer. I like that. Yeah, definitely. I think that's sort of a theme that me and Sam have been trying to echo through the various episodes. Is this sense of community that we have as modelers.
And I've over the last 10 or 12 years, I've made some really good friends. Like from very early on, when I first started Model Railways, I became really good friends with Cav of Cavalex. We've stayed friends for 25 years.
Yeah.
And it's really strange to see how, the direction I've gone and the direction he's gone. And we both used to, we used to go and do exhibitions together. We used to run his layouts together as exhibitions. I've made quite a few really, really good friends that have stayed with me as friends for the last 10, 15 years through Model Railways, through building layouts for them. And I've got several customers that are really good friends now, which is great. I've made some really good friends by building them on Model Railway.
I think that's really cool. And the advantage is you get to go around the house and play with your work. So.
Yeah.
It popped in my head.
Fix it for free.
We were saying this to your customers. Tell me to do one, obviously, if I'm intruding. But have you ever had any big name customers that people might recognise?
Yes, oddly we didn't build a Model Railway for this guy. We built something else. We built so we did a job for James May.
Cool.
And he had a driving instructors app for driving theory tests. And he wanted to do it a little bit alternative, as James May would. To build these series of boards with O-gauge roads on, with traffic lights and signs and street names and that kind of thing, so he could push cars in these videos for his app. We never actually got to meet him, but we did the job for him. So all we did was meet the production company, and the day we delivered it all, we thought James May was going to be there, but he didn't. He turned up the following day.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
But yeah, it's we get sort of some high-end commercial jobs, like we've just done a job in Mayfair for a jewellery shop to put some a little train going around a Christmas tree. We get oddball stuff like that, which is really different and fun. It can also be quite stressful as well.
I can imagine, but that's cool. I suppose you get those little alternative projects that aren't sort of the norm of what we think of when we say Model Railways. That's cool. And then James May, because he's a bit of a modeler. Well, he's not really a modeler, is he? He quite likes just the model trains, doesn't he?
I think he likes tinkering with stuff. I think he just likes taking stuff apart.
I think we touched on this a little bit, and for you personally, if you were to create a new layout, what is the one thing you need on it? I suppose actually, as a general layout builder, is there something that you recommend to your customers that they should have on their layout?
Nowadays, there's a huge. I think it's been like this for 5 or 6 years. Is building depots all the time, and I think that is reflective of cost of stock and coaches and that kind of thing has gone really high. So I think people are building depot layouts quite a lot because they want to showcase the locos they've got. And because the locos nowadays are so good, you don't need to build a huge layout to have tons of rolling stock on. You can actually get some really good quality depot layouts with such good locos on them now. I think I never build stations. I always build yards and depots for myself, purely because I'm terrible at building stations for myself. I can never get the stuff right, but I always build depots and stuff. So I'd like to one day build for myself a really big station with all the detail on it and all the coaching stuff on that. But I always build depots, and I always it's like going back to a default.
Would that be in O-gauge though? That's my big question.
I don't know if I've got the space.
Because obviously I was picturing this massive, I think James used it in the Fiddle Yard episode, the Magna Carta, the Magnum Opus Magna Carta is completely different to the but basically I just imagined this entire, because you mentioned space and stuff like that, but I can just imagine this massive O-gauge station, and I think it'd be glorious because that is the thing. You usually see depots in O-gauge, like smaller style layouts. So
yeah, that's why I chose Buxton as well, not because I've been trying to do it quite a few years, but because it's got quite a small station on it, but it's also got, I can get my depot fixed off it as well. So I've got to, if I can't build something in Oakgate, I'm going to build a station in Oakgate, surely. So yeah, I think I've always got to have a depot or some sort of stabling point or some sort of like dirty yard on a layout. So it's always got to be something like that, hasn't it?
No, that's the second time we've had that answer, because Sanford East also said depot, I think, was the thing they wanted on their next layout. So there's definitely, as you say, a common theme running there. But you're right. We have lots of locos and we want to showcase them and show them off. So I'm looking at doing the same on my own layout. So I think we're all in agreement there. A depot is the essential ingredient for your layout.
I think because like now depots aren't, there's not that many depots around now, are there? Not like proper depots.
No, more stabling points than that these days.
Yeah, it's more stabling points now. And I think like there's so many different variations, like Aquascale and Cavlector bring so many different variations of loco stock out now in different liveries. And those liveries are getting, the special editions that they do and the limited edition stuff they do. Class 66s, you can have an infinite liveries of Class 66. You want to show them off, don't you? You want to have them weathered and sound and have them all sat there, because they're the expensive part of the layout, aren't they?
Yes, definitely. I'm most curious to say about the 66s, because I'm expecting quite a large parcel of Curascale in the next few weeks. Everyone but 001 I ordered. So.
Oh wow, yeah, you're gonna need a big depot.
I decided to change eras, you see, so I sold off a load of my stock. I was like, I need some 66s, and they're like, we're making some. I'll have that one. I sod it a lot. This would actually be quite a good one, because obviously, as a professional layout builder, what is the one hobby item that you'd encourage everyone to buy?
That's easy. A Dremel.
Oh, good.
Ooh, I wasn't expecting that. Out of everything, I wasn't expecting a Dremel.
Really? No, Dremel. You can do everything with a Dremel. A Dremel's like, it's one of the first things I ever pack when I go anywhere to do layouts, because it's just such a universal tool. You can do all sorts of it. You can drill holes with it. You can chop stuff up with it. You can sand stuff off with it. I've always had a Dremel in my toolkit. Whenever I get one that breaks, I've got to get one the next day, because I know I'm going to need it. So yeah, for me, Dremel's one. A Dremel or a rotary tool. I mean, I've just got a new Dremel. My 10-year-old Dremel blew up a couple of weeks ago, and I got one off Amazon. It's got like a router and like a bendy attachment and all sorts. I'm like, this is great. I've got more tools to use on my Dremel.
You need a new one, so that's a cool recommendation.
My question was going to be, so does it have to be the plug-in Dremel for you, or can you buy the rechargeable versions that are available out there?
I prefer the plug-in one, because I know it's always going to have power.
Cool.
And they are a bit more powerful than the battery ones, so I do prefer the plug-in ones.
Excellent. And then I've got a follow-up question, which is completely and selfishly for my own benefit. When I first got into the hobby, someone said to me about using a Dremel as a track cutter, and they specifically said about getting the diamond head that Expo did for track cutting. Now, it was based on a recommendation to get that one, but I found that using a Dremel with those heads, actually, if anything, it just makes track fly off where it's been nailed or glued down to. At shows, I bought the paper thin, sort of like the black.
Yeah, the black carbon.
I mean, so my question is, which one's actually better?
For end gauge, I use the carbon ones. Strip track out if you use a diamond one, but I use the diamond cuts for double O and O gauge, purely because O gauge you need something like that to get through the track road. But because I seal all the track ends on joints and stuff with solder tabs and stuff like that, and glue them down, if you do it quite slowly and gently, the right angle, it took a few years to master it, you can get nicely through with a nice clean cut with a diamond piece.
That's good to know, because I thought that I was a failure by not achieving it, and I just
yeah, and I think if you're using the plug-in Dremel as well, you've got a bit more power. They tend to, if you haven't got enough power, the rechargeable ones, the diamond ones can snag a little bit.
That's really good to know. Thank you for answering my question.
No worries.
What is your favourite exhibition, and what is your favourite layout? And we say the layout doesn't have to be an exhibition layout. It can be someone you've seen on YouTube, Instagram, or it can be the likes of Pending Museum or Miniature Wonderland. Yeah, what are your favourites?
So my favourite exhibition, it's weird because I've done quite a lot over the years. I really enjoyed the Great Electric Train Show, purely because there's just so much variety. As you know, we've done it as visitors and as exhibitors. So yeah, I really enjoyed the Great Electric Train Show. I enjoy our local show, which is the Market Deep in Model Row exhibition, purely because it's only around the corner. I'd have to go very far if it's showing the layout, but that's quite good because you see a lot of local people there that we know as clients and potential clients and friends. That's quite a good show to go to. Favorite layout? I've always enjoyed Alton TMD. I don't know why. It's like a guilty pleasure, I think, because every time I see it, it gets bigger. And I remember seeing it in its first ever form when it was just like near enough just a depth. And I just keep seeing it. It keeps adding more onto it. I'm like, oh, what's he added on this time? I haven't seen it for quite a while. So yeah, that's probably one of my favourite layouts.
I like that one too, Alton TMD. And it's that depot theme again, isn't it? It's definitely definitely in this week. Awesome stuff. We're coming to our last question. So we asked this question to Sandford East a couple of weeks ago. They've basically broke the mold in it, and we've rephrased it. So the sort of, I know we said we're using the same 11 questions, but it's just a slight variation. So it was, what's your favorite resource, YouTube or Instagram? But now it's just, what is your favorite resource? Because Sandford East gave such an excellent answer of his dad that, it just blew our minds. And so we decided to rephrase it. So what is your favorite resource?
I use all of them. Use everything really. I think Instagram, probably Instagram and Flickr, I think I use most. I use Flickr a lot for locos and like destinations and stuff I want to see if I'm doing replica stuff. I think I use Instagram as for like, people like yourselves. I see inspiration from what other people are doing. I think, oh, that's a really cool idea. I followed a guy called Tim's Trains, and I think he's an American guy, and he's done some amazing lifting sections and swinging gate sections that to get into layouts. And you just see stuff from all over the world on Instagram you wouldn't normally plug into on places like YouTube. You kind of got to search for it a bit. Instagram, it just pops on your screen like, oh, that's great, I like that. And then you follow them, and then away you go. You look at the photos for about an hour. So yeah, I'd say Instagram and Flickr probably equally. And I always take a lot of inspiration from shows. Like when you go to shows and stuff like that, you see a lot of stuff that you don't always see. A lot of layouts you just see in photos. When you see them in the flesh, you look even better.
I find that. That's because obviously I do the videos for the exhibitions and YouTube channel. But yeah, there is sometimes you go to a layout and I will then flip to camera mode because there'll be something okay, I really like that idea, and then just sort of take a few photos of that sort of my own inspiration for my own layout builds. So yeah, definitely. I mean, I always recommend. I always try and push people to go out to exhibitions, because if we don't attend to them, they'll disappear, and they're such a nice way to sort of spend your Saturday or your Sunday going around and appreciating other people's work and looking at.
And we do it with our customers. A lot of our customers will say, "I'm not sure what I want to do," and I always say, go to an exhibition, go see a layout in the flesh, go see several layouts, and just see what you think to those layouts, and see what ideas you can get that you want to do and what you want to include. Because I think if you see it on a screen, it's a little bit different seeing it in the flesh, and you can see the size of it and the scale of what they've done a layout in, and you can see what's achievable in your size and your space that you've got. I encourage a lot of my customers to go to shows and stuff like that, to see stuff that's there. We invite customers to shows that we're doing. We've got a couple of customers going to shows that we're doing. We're doing the Market Deepening show in a couple of months. In May, we've got a couple of customers that are coming down to that to see our layout, see other layouts.
And that's it, isn't it? It's I think it's also sometimes you go to the exhibitions and there'll be a layout that on a prototype that you never even considered that you'd actually like, or an idea that you never even thought of. And I mean, one I always quite enjoyed. I think it's sort of based around Great Yarmouth. It's about 1900. It's got like tall ships with masts, and that's absolutely amazing. I don't got the skill to make that, but I'd love a layout like that. So yeah, I'm on board there. Go to exhibitions and have a look at layouts and get your ideas from there. But yeah, definitely, Instagram and, as you say, Flickr, always great places for inspiration.
I kind of gave 3 answers there, didn't I? Got carried away.
So we made you pick. We made you pick from the 3. Which one would you say?
I'd say exhibitions.
That's a cool one.
It's a really good resource as well, going to an exhibition and I have that same thing. And I use this as an example. I've spoken to James about it. The exhibitions are just one of those places where it just takes one single layout to completely rejuvenate any sort of like hobby mojo funk that you're in. And I know for me, one of those is, if you don't know the McKinley Railway, which is, I mean, if you really go into the world of the McKinley Railway, it is insane. It is a railway that is dedicated to a whole upper floor on a house. It's not just one room, but they have sort of like a traveling layout that they have, which demonstrates what's really good about train detection and train automation and stuff like that. And it is effectively a single loop, but it's got an offshoot branch line siding. On one side, it's got a couple of sidings, and on another side, it's got 3 sidings and stuff like that. And it shows having these, they have sort of 1 wagon or 2 wagon trains that go around it, but it shows you the basics of it. And I saw that in person for the first time, and it completely rejuvenated all of my hobby funk. And seeing these weird layouts that you don't necessarily get to see from your home is a really big thing to go out and see those. So I completely agree. Having that ability to go out to exhibitions. James goes to a lot more than I do. I'm a hermit, so I tend to stay indoors and weather stuff at my own desk rather than going out to the real world. But when I do, there's always a layout that always gives me some sort of... I know I went to a Portsmouth show last year, and the Tidworth layout, I saw that and saw the 3-card thumper unit going around, and instantly was like, "Whoa, like this is great!" And then I got back home and just started doing hobby again. So I agree, it's a really, really lovely answer.
I think because, like you say, there's so many varied layouts. It shows that there's something for everybody, of different eras, different ages, and you can kind of like make your mind up about what you like and what really interests you, and it kind of narrows you down, your modelling down a little bit more to like, you know what, I'd really like an N-gauge layout of Swindon, if you like, not the size that we've got, but and it kind of just gives you a bit of emphasis on what you want to do and how you want to model. I think because you see all these show layouts.
I find with me personally, it inspires me to make even more layouts, invest in even more different gauges.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that was our last question, and it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you, Neil. And so on behalf of me and Sam, I'd like to thank you for coming on the show and talking to us. And if people want to find you and get in contact with you, how can they do that?
You can find us on Facebook under the Little Layout Company. We've also got a website under the same name, and we're on Instagram under the Little Layout Company. We've got a little bit of a YouTube page, but there's not a lot on there. I'm terrible for taking videos, and one thing with building layouts, you always forget to take photos and videos all the time, so I don't really do a lot with YouTube. But yeah, we've got all those 4 platforms, so give us a like and give us a follow.
Thank you very much.
No, thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure. I've really enjoyed it, and obviously the podcast that you do is fantastic, and I'm really enjoying listening to all the stuff you do.
Thank you very much.
This is great. You can come back.
To say, hopefully I could. If I'll come and say hello if I see you this weekend.
Yeah, definitely. We've got Patrick Lane Flask layout. Well, I think we're opposite Bachman and Acroscale for some reason. Well, it's stuck us there.
Okay, that'll be easy for me to find you then.
Yeah, so we're opposite there. So definitely come and have a chat with us and come and see us.
Cool, will do. Lovely stuff. Okay, that was the Little Layout Company, and we're going to take a short break now and come back for our outro.
This world we live in is a wondrous and fascinating place. We stand on the brink of greatness and a chance to make a real difference in this world. 2 people who are not making a difference in the world are James and Sam. So great are their egos that you can now support them on Patreon from $5 per month to just show your support. You too can watch the model railway world burn under their narcissistic natures. Head on over patreon.com/Model Rail Replacement Podcast.
And we are back, and I would just like to say again, thank you very much to Neil from the Little Layout Company for coming on the show and having such a wonderful conversation. I enjoyed it. I assume you did, Sam?
Oh, I had a wonderful time talking with Neil.
Obviously, we're still only getting diesel fans on. There's no steam fans yet, but maybe that will change in the future. I think I've seen some of the guests you've got lined up, so I suspect that they'll be getting a few votes. But I think is it you're electric, I'm diesel, Sanford East was diesel, and obviously Neil's diesel, so it's 3-1-0.
So if you have said to myself that you want to come on and do the interview questions, I promise you are in a list. But I don't think James and I were anticipating how quickly that list grew from episode 0. You are on a list. I do promise you I will get in contact with you to do the questions. You're not forgotten about. It is just simply a case of that. Unfortunately, the list is far longer than James and I ever anticipated to be. So
yeah, we appreciate the amount of people that have come forward and want to be on it. It's really nice to know. But yeah, we didn't expect it to be that big. We're only doing this as a sort of as a hobby at the moment, I suppose. We don't make any money out of this podcast. So yeah, we're two amateurs just talking about trains and trying to get you on to talk about trains too. So please bear with us. We'd love to talk to all of you that have put your name forward. It just might take a little time, but that would give you time to think about your answers for the questions. So,
it will indeed.
Right then. So, as we usually do at the end of the show, we like to talk about our social media recommendation of the week. I really think we need like an intro tune for this.
But yeah, so we are going to be doing our YouTube recommendations of the week. My recommendation of the week this week, I mentioned it in the interview with Neil. I'm actually going to talk about the McKinley Railway. If you don't know what the McKinley Railway is, it is basically a super layout that is in the loft of what used to be an old people's like residential old folks home type thing. David, who owns it, basically has this ridiculous layout up in his loft. They have a fiddle yard to end all fiddle yards, and it's referred to as Hades, like the underworlds kind of thing. It's huge. The idea is that it goes all across this loft. The reason I want to talk about it is because it opened my eyes to the automation side of railways. And as I said in Neil's interview, they have like a transport version of automation that they have in sort of like a 4x6 layout, and it's really, really handy to demonstrate on a small scale how the automation works, so that you can effectively add more to it to make the automation bigger and better, and it can do all these wonderful things. But seeing it on a really small level makes you go, if I started at that level, I'd be able to do this and have the automation. And for me, one thing I want is I want the automation. I want it to be a case of that I can have my fiddle yard stocked, and because I don't have a big scenic area or anything too technical, I'll be able to have something come out of the fiddle yard as it goes back behind the scenic area. Once it's done its little loop, changes the points, and then it picks a new train to go out of the 6 lanes that are on there. So it basically just constantly changing the trains and stuff like that. And that's what I want to see on my layout in the future, because I like watching trains go around. So hopefully that's something I'll see in the future. But if you want to get a really good in-depth look at automation, McKinley Railway on YouTube. Charlie Bishop, who is Chadwick Model Railway, does all of their videos for them as well. You'll see a very same aesthetic on the thumbnails and the way the videos are shot as well. And yeah, it's really, really good. Have a look at there, and hopefully you walk away being as amazed by the sheer scale of the layout as I am.
It is impressive what they've done. Yeah, I really enjoy watching their channel too, and sort of seeing it. And I'm not quite as technically minded, so sometimes it just amazes me how they get these things to work and that. So I struggle with just getting a point motor wired up. But
what's really important about how their layout works is if you go back, so they started filming it from the beginning, and someone was doing their videos and they died suddenly, so they got Charlie in from Chadwick to basically start making their videos. And what they did was they used a lot of the lost footage from the person who died to make like the series of videos. So if you go back far enough, you have an afternoon to watch it. It is really, really interesting. And there are some bits you may be like, oh, this is a little tedious, or this is a little bit too in depth, but you can always skip it and go ahead. But it's just a fantastic series to watch, even if you're not into automation. It's not one of the series that you could easily have on in the background and do something, because you can easily miss something and then you go, how the hell are they doing that?
Yeah, it's definitely a sit down and watch channel, isn't it? It's, yeah, like you say, you can't let it play in the background, because you just, I mean, you need to visually see what they are doing and to appreciate it as well, I think, and the work there. So yeah, no, totally agree there.
Cool. And who, James, have you got for us this week?
Well, this week I've got McKinley Model Railway.
I genuinely thought you were going to do it to me again this week.
That's it. That's why I waited. I thought I'll just copy it. I hadn't done my homework. I just leaned over and looked at the one next to me. This week I have Will James Railways. Now, Will James Railways is based in Australia, and he covers a lot of the Australian model railway exhibition circuit. He also covers the model news, all the new announcements and everything like that. And I'm not an Australian modeler. It's something I just cannot afford to get into with everything else that I have, but it's a really great channel, really interesting. It's really nice to have on in the background. And yeah, the exhibition videos are really nice to watch too, because yeah, you get to see a lot of the Australian layouts and what they do. But I notice with the Australian modelers, they're not afraid to, model other areas. And the UK seems a very popular subject with them. So you'll see a lot of UK layouts on there. So that's always quite interesting to see, the interpretation of our railways from a different point of view. And I just find it a really enjoyable channel. So that's my recommendation of the week. Will James Railways.
Very nice. I've had a look. Visually looks very pleasing. So I've subscribed and I'll have a look at watching those videos this week.
Yeah, and then that is a video that you can have playing in the background whilst you're getting on with something, and he's just chatting away and just telling you about certain things going on. It's quite nice. It's a bit like having old blowers on the cricket in the background. That's our social media recommendations of the week. I think that ties us up for the show. I don't think there's anything else we need to announce or talk about. Just probably what we've been forgetting to do in the last few episodes is telling you how you can find us. So, Sam, how can you be found?
So you can find me on Instagram at emperors_path, Facebook Emperor's Path, or you can also find me on YouTube at Emperor's Path.
Excellent stuff.
And what about you, James? How can we find you?
Well, if you want to find me, you can find me as the Western Signalman on either Instagram, YouTube. You can email westernsignalman@outlook.com. Sometimes I check those emails. You may have to wait a while for a reply, but I do sometimes. Alternatively, if you want to get hold of both of us, we have ways of doing that now as well. So as mentioned at the start of the show, we do have the Model Rail Replacement Instagram channel. Please come and have a subscribe and have a look around there. And you never know, we might start doing some competitions and stuff in the future. If you want to email us, it's Model Rail RP, that's Romeo Papa @outlook.com. I think that ties it up for today, doesn't it? So without further ado, I suppose I should say the usual. Hopefully we have been informative, entertaining, and they've replaced your model railway, if only just for a little bit. I've been James, and with me has been Sam. Good night.
This service terminates here. Please ensure you take all of your personal belongings with you.